As a dentist, it's really easy to feel like this on the inside part of your body. My name is Paul, Dr. Nacho Goodman. I've been a dentist for 19 years. And being a dentist can be awesome, but it can also make you want to cry on the inside part of your body. There's so many challenging parts to our daily dentisting life. And on Talking Nachos, we bring you awesome key resources, sponsors, dentisting friends of Dental Nachos to help share with you how they make your life a little bit better, how they make your day a little bit less stressful. So my goal here is to share who's on this nacho plate and how there's so many cool people and resources that I didn't even know about last year, let alone when I started in dentistry. Our goal is to create more awareness, share more, care more, create a better dental community. So I'm ready for my first guest whenever my awesome team is ready to bring them up. So we have Samir from Care Credit, someone who I've known for many, many years. Care Credit is an awesome sponsor that helps patients move forward with dental treatment. Samir, this has been a crazy pandemic time. I know you've been an awesome supporter. Share with us, what does Care Credit do to make the lives of dentists better? And if you have any stories of success, we would love to hear them.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. But so ultimately, dentists are, it's a group of people that I have enjoyed working with for the last 15 years. But here's where the challenge is, and I've seen it over and over again. We have some fantastic clinicians, some intelligent people, great teams out there. They do a really good job of presenting the clinical aspect of the case, but that's half of the equation.
For sure.
Where Care Credit can help and helps, and we continue to do that, is the other half of the equation is how to get the patient to say yes.
Right.
Because I can do this all day long. To the doctor, to the team, I can do this all day long. And without that second half of the equation is that case acceptance is the easiest way of putting it. Is like, that's where we help. That's what my team helps do by adding best practices of what's going on in the practice, in surrounding the practice, by holding doctor and their team accountable and holding ourselves accountable. Because if you cannot measure it, you cannot manage it.
Such great value, Samir. I mean, also just in general, creating flexible ways for people to pay for stuff is great. If you had a $3,000 bill for anything, maybe some people want to take care of it in full and save 5% like in our office, but maybe they want to stretch it out over a longer period of time. And that's where companies like Care Credit come in. Can you think of, Samir, some of us dentists, we're not always look on the bright side people. I don't need Care Credit. It's not going to help me. And you must be thinking of someone who said, I'm glad I'm using this. I'm glad I'm getting my team to talk about us. Tell us a story like that.
It's actually a little bit of both. So it was actually one of your fantastic Nacho members. It started off as a complaint. It started off just like you said, we don't need it, too expensive, can't approve, don't get the loans, like a plethora of reasons. But this doctor, I'm not going to say his name out loud, he's a periodontist, reached out, and you actually made the introduction because he had a huge complaint about the service and not being able to get the patients to get approved.
Yeah.
Well, long story short, he and I had a fantastic call. But ultimately what it came down to is what he knew, the perception and reality. There was a big gap between the two. So it's not that whether a product works or not. And here's the thing, Paul, Care Credit may not be the answer to everyone.
Right.
And that's perfectly okay.
For sure.
But the idea is, let's at least make it part of a process instead of using it as a product. And that's what kind of got him to start looking at, hey, I've got this so much unscheduled dentistry. Why am I not? Why are these patients not moving forward? So I would love to share what the numbers are. And they're very promising. It's promising to the point where we say, you know what, this is where we are good at. Patient financing we do, and we do a really, really good job of it, but it's actually adding that additional resource, having my team be that extended team member of your practice.
That's so key, Samir. I mean, one of the things, I grew up in my dad's dental practice, and I was always interested in all aspects of the practice. And, they didn't have this in the 1980s, right? You had check, cash, like real cash, or maybe credit card. So now it's just created opportunities for patients to move forward with chewing and smiling with confidence. And sometimes it's us as dentists, even though it's not totally our job, is to just say, hey, the value of being able to chew with smile with and confidence is enormous. Maybe there's some creative ways like Care Credit. Why don't you find out about it? And what you guys have done a good job with branding, Samir, and you says, I just had a patient this week who had a big case, and I said, we have financing options, Care Credit's one. She goes, I don't know if I could use care credit because I just got turned down for my dog's treatment, right? But what I thought was awesome about that, Samir, and what you spoke is you're not solution for everyone is, as soon as I said care credit, she knew what I was talking about from a non-dental experience. So you guys have branded yourself as a creative payment opportunity, a way to move people forward. I appreciate you sharing. We have text credit to 215-543-6454. If someone wanted to reach out to you directly, Samir, what would be the best way for them to do that?
The best way is actually there is a link that will post it, that or email it directly to me, sbacine@carecredit.com. I will post that on the chat as to what the link is as well. So, awesome. And my email address.
I appreciate it. I remember a few years, the Greater New York meeting, I said, Samir, you got to do more with dental Nachos did, and we'll be back there at the Greater New York meeting this year for a high five. Thanks so much, Samir.
Looking forward to it. Thanks, Paul.
Awesome. So first topping, talking to patients about money, helping them move forward. So key. You're going to learn so many different ways to improve your life, make it better on this show. I'm ready for our next guest whenever you guys are ready to bring them up. Awesome. So I have Stuart here from Praise. I love the company name. Stuart, if someone just, I love the hat. Tell us, what do you do to make dentists' lives better? How do you guys help?
Paul, good to be here, man. So yeah, our whole goal with each practice we work with is basically to help them be the most trusted dentist in their town. And we feel like we can realistically help them do that by simply looking around at their competitors, seeing how many reviews on Google specifically their local competition has, and then making a goal to exceed those number of reviews and help them really shine and have the most and best positive reviews online.
I love that, because reviews work in two ways. One way is to help patients think you're good at what you do. The other way is just to feel good about yourself when patients are, what's the word, very mean to you, right? So sometimes in my office, patients will make complaints. And by sometimes, I mean every day. And I go on Google, and sometimes I just read these nice things people have said. So why are reviews so important, Stuart? This is your world. Why are they so important?
Yeah, so, for the average patient, a guy like myself, we have no idea of the different accolades or education or awards or whatever the case may be of a really experienced doctor. All we know is whoever has the most and best reviews locally, that's who I'm going to call and book my appointment with. And that's what we help doctors do. And just a couple of days ago, just wanted to bring up a quick story. A couple of days ago, and maybe a lot of your listeners can relate to this, but we had a doctor give us a call, local to me in Ventura, California. And she was like, Stuart, man, I've been getting these positive reviews through my text reminder company for years. And we have like hundreds of positive reviews, but I realized on Google, we don't really have any reviews at all. And I had an ex-employee that went and was super mad at me because for whatever reason, she left the practice. She jumped online, wrote this scathing, lengthy negative review, right? And so she was calling us frantically, what do we do? How do we build our Google reviews? And this was just this last Monday, and today it's Thursday. And already we've gotten her a handful of positive reviews that have really saved her overall star rating.
Awesome.
And began to build those reviews.
I was in my office 2 days this week. The morale of dentists is not at its high right now. There's so many things we're dealing with, not enough team members, pandemic-related stuff. And I think just, if you get a bad review, it amplifies in your mind. So then when you can couple that with 5 or 6 other reviews, it just makes you feel better. Not only does it, help on your online presence, but it helps with your office morale. And one of the things I'd like to add in as someone who's worked hard on reviews is many times your patients are going to mention team member's name. And it's such a great way to say, thanks so much, Kate, for doing a great job going over that. Thanks so much, Dawn. Ariel was mentioned on a review recently as one of our hygienists. And that's just a great win, because during any time, but especially this pandemic influenced world, embracing wins is important. So Stuart, I like people to JFO, just find out. So who should be connecting with you? You can text praise to this number, 215-543-6454. But which team member should be finding out about praise and how it works? Office manager, dentist, hygienist, who should be that person in the office?
Yeah, so usually it's the dentist, right? Whoever makes the decisions on what, marketing direction we want to go in. But yeah, if anyone is looking to grow their practice, build their reviews, would love to chat with them, give them a free demo, kind of look at exactly what you got going on. And if it's a good fit, we'd love to give you a free month to test the waters.
Awesome. And I think one of the things that, I want to bring to life before you jump off is reviews is like investing in mutual funds. You can't go from 0 to 100 in one day. The key is consistently having a program. We went from 50 to now, I think about 400 reviews. So thanks for being a key resource and sponsor, Stuart. Hang around a little bit. Text praise to 215-543-6454 to learn more. Perfect. So we've talked about money. We've talked about feeling good about yourself. This is the part of this dentisting game. I think many of you guys know I wanted to play in the NBA. That didn't work out. When you grow to 5'9" and you're quite slow, you are not going to play for the 76ers. So my second dream, bringing dentists together to learn more about what dental basketball is, your mind, your words, your hand skills, putting it all together. I'm ready for our next guest whenever you guys are ready. And anyone has any questions, you can pop it into the chat here. Our team will be glad to answer. Awesome. So we have David here from Bash. So David, share with us, what do you do to make dentists' lives better?
Well, thank you, Dr. Nacho. Yeah, so we understand that dentists have two roles, one being a dentist and two being the CEO of their practice. And we also know that dentists tend to be DIY. They want to take control and do things on their own. But what we really emphasize is you don't know what you don't know. And a lot of dentists don't know necessarily the proper way to manage their money with the practice, personally, professionally. We step in and we diagnose their situation and build financial treatment plans for the dentists that we work with.
I like that financial treatment plan because that resonates with dentists. In working with dentists, David, I mean, it's kind of totally nacho nuts that dentists can go from $600,000 in debt, making $0, to making over $200,000 in sometimes just a few short years. But that really is hard to process as a person because I used to have no money. Now I have some money, but I have to pay debt. Where do you see this and how do you make things better? Like you're sitting down with an associate dentist, maybe they want to buy a practice, maybe they want to start putting money away. What are some of the things that go into this financial treatment planning discussion?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you a quick story. Recently we worked with a dentist, recently as within the last couple of years, but we worked with a dentist who at the time was 35 years old. And we always ask, what do you consider your knowledge on my world, the investment planning world, the financial planning world? What is your knowledge on a scale from 1 to 10? She said a 1. And so we analyzed her cash flow, wanted to know what was going on in her world. I mean, she was trying to do the right things. She was investing in IRAs, but her IRAs were invested in CDs, not earning much return. She had a long-term goal of buying a practice, and she didn't know how to get there. So what we did is we diversified her portfolio. She had access to a 401k plan that she wasn't utilizing. We educated her on lowering her taxable income and then diversifying the portfolio, putting a plan together for her to save some money to eventually buy a practice.
Awesome.
And then we leveraged our resources that we have with contracts, attorneys, and things like that to help her get to the point where she could eventually buy a practice.
And I think that story is great. Also, I use nutrition a lot as an example of things that have changed over my lifetime, right? Only eat carbs, never eat carbs, eat good fat, eat good fats, smash an avocado in your face, don't eat an avocado, never have gluten, always have dairy. So it's confusing. And we eat food all the time. And I think for dentists, one of the things I share is, and I didn't learn this until I started doing my podcast with Rob Montgomery, you don't want to pay off all your loan debt and have no actual liquid assets, or the bank won't think you're a good risk for a loan. And this has happened to dentists where they've lived in their parents' basement, paid off their loans, wanted to buy a practice, but didn't have the 10% in non-retirement assets. So just little tips like this are so awesome. So you can text BASH to 215-543-6454 to learn more about our awesome key resource and sponsor. How can people reach out to you directly, David?
The best way to reach me would be either my email or my cell phone. My email is David. It's ddeal@Bash Capital. Deal is spelled DIEAL, and cell phone is 609-405-0947.
Awesome. Thanks so much for being on. Hang around if you can. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
So we talked about talking to patients about money, talked about getting great reviews, feeling better online, talked about money for ourselves. This is what these shows are about. Fast, fun ways to learn about the toppings in our dental nachos world. I'm ready for our next guest when my team is ready to bring her up. I have the awesome Emily, first fellow dentist on the show like me. Dentists Unite. We need like a sign for not crying inside, Emily. So Emily, tell us what you do specifically, because I know you do a lot of things, but I'm interested, if I'm like, hey, Emily, I know you do so many great things, but what do you do to make dentists' lives better? What do you like to focus on to make their lives better each day?
Well, first of all, I want to say thank you for the opportunity to be on here. As always, high energy, get it done. I would say there are two things that I help dentists do to make their lives better. The first one is to increase their net income. And we increase it by focusing on the right metrics, focusing on how to increase the production per hour. And there's more than one way to do that. And the second thing, to decrease their stress by getting better perspective. And I want to share two little stories. I was doing actually, it was one of the coaching, a group coaching session, and there's an associate on there, right? So she's working for different offices, and at the end, she texts me and it says, "Thank you for giving me a chance to become a better person than I was 3 hours ago." And this was 3 hours after the coaching wasn't 3 hours, but that tells me she's an associate. She may not have all of these other burdens, right, of owning a practice, but she already feel that she's a better person, and she's coming to action to win in person, which I love. The other doctor says that after working with Emily for a short time, I doubled the income in one area of my practice that was underdeveloped. And that has to do with looking at things a little bit different. Sometimes we try to do too many things, and then we don't actually do all of them. But instead, if we focus on what could increase on that net income for us, we can easily achieve that. And you can see
two such phenomenal things. I love that story. I listened to a podcast and I put it up on the board here a lot. It diluted efforts, diluted results. So a lot of times if we do too much of that, so that's such great content. Also, I've talked a lot about this being a year where I'm focusing just as much on my morale as money. Sometimes dentists overvalue, and by sometimes I mean almost all the time, money, and they forget about their morale. So you saying, you sharing that story of I feel like a better person, that doesn't have anything to do with money. That has to do with how the dentist feels about themselves. But when you couple that with also increasing net income, that is the magic. And one of the things I want to compliment you on is, being a coach is not easy, right? It's not easy for a sports team or for dentists. But what you do is you transform the lives of the dentist inside their office and outside their office, which really helps their family. And that's really just what we need, because, nobody knows the stress of what it's like to do full contact arts and crafts every day, but dentists. I mean, it's very, very stressful and intense. And if we don't get coping mechanisms and techniques to doing that, your Action to Win seminar, when is that going to be? When is that? That's coming up just next week, right?
Yes, Action to Win is going to be July 9th and 10th in Miami. I'm so excited that Brandon is coming.
Brandon's coming, and if he says I authorized him to buy mojitos for the whole Action to Win crew, I did not authorize that. No, I'm just joking. But you're lucky to have Brandon coming. He will thrive. It was a tough sell. Brandon's like, do you think I could maybe go to Miami and see Emily? So if you have it in Des Moines, Iowa, no offense to Des Moines, Iowa, I don't know if he's going to do that. I'm so glad he's coming. What are people going to learn at this seminar?
Well, first of all, just real quick, I know there's a number on there for people to text to for the high performance assessment. When you text to that number, you get these quick questions that is going to talk about really the high performance, where you just talk about it's not just about money, right? Because it's going to open up people's minds on what that's all about. The event, we have clinical, we have cosmetic dentistry, we have laser dentistry, and then we have business strategies on how to grow your business. And we also have the high performance strategies on how to improve your life. Because guess what? If you're a better person, you're going to be a better mom, a better dad. Yeah. You're going to be a better boss, and a better person in the community. And none of that may have to do with money.
Yeah, it's so key, and it's about finding. We ask patients about their chief complaint, which I find is overly negative. I always say to a patient, "I'm so glad you're here. What would be the best way for me to help you?" Not chief complaint. And if you say that to dentists, sometimes it has nothing to do with their finances and everything to do with their feelings. Sometimes it has to do with their finances. Sometimes people's practices are struggling and they can't figure out. So I appreciate you being a key resource and sponsor. Enjoy your time with Brandon next week. It's always fun to hang out with them. Thanks so much, Emily.
Thank you so much.
Awesome, guys. So this fun, fast-paced show. Now we talked about Emily, increasing your money, improving your money morale. And we have our final guest before I do our wrap-up, one of my favorite people in dentistry. I'm getting my cell phone out to read him something. So we have the amazing Vivek, who is a dentisting human, who I always like to kind of start with this. So I really value Vivek's passion for sharing his thoughts. And we had many friendly disagreements when he first joined Facebook. But one of the things he would tell me early on was, dentists, they should be more grateful. They make over 6 figures a year. But then he's been managing his wife's office and working with dentists. So before we start, Vivek, has your mindset on the stress level of dentists been reframed at all over the past few years?
Yeah, for sure, man. We've talked about this. It's like the toughest profession in the country, right? It's, it's maybe being a dentist and like working at a fast-paced kitchen, man. I don't know, right? Like, but
I agree with you. Now, before we dive into what you do, so we had friendly disagreements, but we're friends. But what made you change working with your awesome, amazing wife, working with dentists? What has helped you transform that? Where have you seen this intensity in dentistry, whether it's been over the past couple of years? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot to do with it. Maybe you use this phrase, right? It's like dog hours or something like that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Where I'm like, because I used to make a statement. I'm like, man, I'm a computer software engineer, right? We are used to deadlines, working 50, 60 hours a week. I come back home and I'm still working, and my wife is like, she comes back home and she's not working on patients or anything anymore, right? Obviously, when she started her practice and eventually I joined, right, realized what she said, like 32 hours clinical, right, in a week is like 64 normal hours, because it's like all high intense hours, right? And so my mind was just basically saying, well, this is the amount of hours you work as a dentist, and this is, and you don't bring anything home. Well, the reality is very different. First of all, those are very intense hours. Second, you always bring stuff home and the stress never removes, right? Like all those things.
That's so important and key. I actually just maybe inspired me to think of an idea. Like they talk about this high intensity interval training, and they say, hey, run fast on a treadmill and you're burn fat later. Well, that's good. Well, dentistry is like, be stressed now and good for you. It also continues later. So love that, Vivek. I want to start off with, it's all about stories. So I literally got this 1 hour ago. Hi, Paul. Thanks for hosting such a great group. I've used a few resources like PPO Profits. They've been a pleasure to work with and help me. So tell our audience, what does PPO Profits do to make the lives of dentists better? What are you doing on a daily basis to make their lives better?
We're a fee negotiation company, but it's a bit of a misnomer, right? People think that we're like negotiating with insurances to get you better fees. Small part of it, big part of it is that, very often you can like restructure the way your insurance contracts are, so you just get paid more, right?
Yeah.
So our goal is look at basically how it is, negotiate, get the best possible fee schedules, and then underlying make sure that the contracts are pointing to the right fee schedules. Right. Somewhat doesn't make sense for somebody that doesn't realize what I'm talking about, but it's just one of those things where you can be in network with one insurance company 7 different ways. We just find the best way for you to be in network there, right? The end result of that being is that you used to do a pro fee and you would get paid $60. Now you get paid 85. Right.
And that impact, Vivek, AATI impact. I mean, we've been on podcasts and many things together, spend time together. We wear the same clothes sometimes, all those things. But you've said this, and I've used that dentists doing this is one of the most important things they can focus on for their career, for their life, for their livelihood, because being paid more for the same work has an impact that lasts for years and years. So I think this is so important for dentists to think about. Break down a little bit the process. So someone texts in PPO to 215-543-6454. You're one of the most popular just find out topics because insurance has become very much like this guy here. What happens when they do this? What do you and your team do? Do you find if we're in network with 9 insurances, 4 insurances, and also manage people's expectations on the time it takes to get to the end zone?
Yeah. So, obviously step 1 is to figure out what the current status is, right? And then negotiate with a lot of the insurance companies and umbrella networks and shared networks, etc., that you may not be in network with, right? The example I use is you can be in network with Aetna through Principal, right? So if you see that you have a network with Aetna and then we negotiate a fee schedule with Principal that's 25% higher, then we'd rather have you be in network with Aetna through Principal, which is 25% more. Gotcha. So we basically look at these optimizations after negotiations and then, strike up the, basically it's like optimization of which insurance. Time frame is the number one thing, right? Like it's weird. When I tell people, when I first started, I used to underestimate everything and got in a lot of trouble, right? And so, and it'll be like, oh man, you said 6 months, it's now 1 year. Now I tell people 15 months and they're like, what are you talking about? It's yesterday I got an email and somebody was looking to add an associate. I'm like, plan for 6 to 8 months two companies, Aetna and MetLife, can take even longer.
Yeah.
I got a response right back saying, I just talked to a consultant who said this is a 30 to 90-day process. And, I mean, after, right, like, just like as a dentist, after a while, you just want to, I just responded.
Dentists have a special level of selective hearing, Vivek, for two reasons. One, people hear when they hear. Two, there's a chance they were actually talking about signing up for the insurance for 30 to 90 days, and they were misunderstanding what that even was. And two, you're going to be just as annoyed in 15 months. You might as well be patient, because no magic fairy is going to come and fix this. But I think what you're sharing is why it's so important to act now about finance. Why does it take so long? I'm just curious.
Yeah. Everything about insurances takes forever, right? Like, so when we basically sign up with an insurance company, it takes 90 to 120 days. But now we're doing a two-step credentialing, because now principal needs to send the data to Aetna. But now we also need to terminate the Aetna direct contract, right? After the Aetna, that takes 90 to 120 days. And now Aetna is going to say, we're not just going to add the provider. We have to re-credential the provider, which takes another 90 to 120 days. You add up all of that stuff, and you're at 15th month mark, right? So now when I tell people that this is going to take 10 to 15 months, some insurance is 10 months, some insurance 15 months. Now, add to that, we have a backlog, right? So, and I'm pretty clear about that. I'm like, we're going to start your process in 2 months, 10 to 15 months from there. So you're not going to see any advantage for up to a year, right? And yeah, it's one of those things, right, where no matter what, right, when it's going through that much time, people are going to get frustrated, right? It's just that now, like you said, managing expectations.
But just say this, Vivek, say totally get it. I mean, this happens with implant dentistry with me. Why can't I have the tooth yesterday that's not invented yet? I say, you could say you're going to be just as annoyed with your insurance fees 15 months from now, and you're going to be glad you started now. So as we wrap up, Vivek, I want to talk about this one amazing person named Tim, and you know who I'm talking about. So this wraps up the entire message here, but I want you to talk a little about Tim's case. So Tim reached out to me through Dental Nachos on my phone and said, should I contact PPO Profits? I said, yes. Usually that would be good enough. He said, why? Is it good? Is it not good? We went back and forth 8, 9 times on Messenger, where I actually kind of said, Tim, if you don't just do the demo with Vivek, I'm not going to help you anymore, right? Because he was so analysis paralysis. And he's authentically said doing what he's done with PPO Profits has been one of the best moves for his career. So the impact on these practices, what are you seeing now that you have clients 2 and 3 years? Yeah. And what are they reporting back to you?
I had a meeting with a client last Monday, right? And he was adding a new location, had bought a practice, and he said, Vivek, super painful process, took over a year, right? I'm like, doctor, would you redo it again? He's like, let me show you something. He pulled practice by numbers. December 2019, when he first bought the practice, adjusted production of $71,000. May of 2021, which was not last month. Yesterday it would have been last month, but you know what I'm talking about. May of 2021, 104,000, right? Yeah. He's like, Vivek, this is like, and what people don't realize that $20,000 extra is a net take-home increase.
Right, exactly. It doesn't go through it's saying make more money by doing the same full contact arch crest procedure. I really appreciate that, Vivek. I'll let you wrap up with another thing here. Go ahead.
Just one last thing. I just want to really tell everyone the whole process of fee negotiation is going down. Okay, it's like this very rapidly, and I'm telling everybody that started with me 2 weeks ago, don't expect what others have gotten. It's no longer the same. It's just getting worse and worse and worse. Every week I get some new news, right? So it's one of those things where if you wanted to get started, it's probably never a better time. Just like you said, go through the frustration with me.
And also, and we're going to bring people up in a second. It's also, you add value, Vivek, more than just in the negotiation. And also, like you said, just understanding what contracts you're in with. And I'm sure you tell people to stay away from this or do this or don't get in this because it's very confusing. So thanks for being a fun friend, Vivek. Love all the things you do. Stay on for a minute here. Let's bring everybody back on to Talking Nachos for a 5-minute wrap up. So our 5-minute wrap up speed round is this. We talked about what do you do to make people's lives better? It's not about being the best. It's about making people's lives better. But now I just want to ask you, if there was one thing you heard on this show, not about you, about another sponsor, something I said that you say, you know what, I would like to tell one of my clients about it, or, oh, I didn't even know that existed. What would that be? I'll start with my friend Samir from Care Credit. What would your one thing be from our Talking Nachos show? I think you're politely muted there, Samir. Sorry.
No problem. I think one of the biggest one that came out to me, and we talk about it all the time, is the fact, don't be all things to everyone. Use the resources. You've got experts out there who are willing to help you, and it does not always cost you money. So use them as your extended team member. So
it's such a good point. I mean, if you said to a dentist, could you make some paella? They'd be like, should I go crabbing myself for the crabs and mussels? Like, no, you get them from a store, right?
Right.
So don't have it. We have this weird gaslighting, like you should know stuff, right? So it's just crazy. So I appreciate that, Samir. Care Credit, awesome sponsor. Thanks so much. Emily, how about you? I know you have to jump, but you're always an awesome guest. What did you learn here today from someone else, or just the thought you wanted to share?
Awesome. I was about to cut in anyway, because I was going to say, and people laugh at this because I'm a dentist myself, but please, doctors, just stop trying to do everything. Samir just said, try to be, like try to help everybody. No, just try not to do everything. You wanna do the insurance part, just call Vivek. You want to offer payment plan to patients because you're stressed that your patients are not accepting your treatment plan, because part of it is the financing, call Samir. I would hear these complaints and the stress, and it's because they're trying to be, they try to do everything because they think they know how to do everything, but unfortunately they don't. So I would say stay in your lane, do what you like the most, do what make you happy. So don't do endo, which is me. Do what you like the most, and that's how you stay happy.
This is what you should say. I love you saying this. I always think of things. Basically, when you guys talk to people, and I say this too, you know how you refer endo? Refer your annoyance to people who've signed up to do this every day. Vivek signed up for this. David signed up to know what's the difference between a 403B and a 401k, an IRA. He signed up for this, right? You guys have signed up to be on these lines of annoyance. We've signed up to do full contact arts and crafts on people. So good. David, how about you?
Yeah, well, being new to the group, what I think is the most surprising thing to me is having worked with dentists in the past, I guess I just never realized all the vendors and all the things that go into running a practice that outside of what I do. I guess selfishly, I was looking at what I provide to a dentist, but I just never realized all the other things that people do to help make their practice run smoother.
And that's such a good point. I appreciate it. I never forget this. As a youngest practice owner, I know that my dad was there. There was a bat in the attic. And I think my front desk is like, what should we do? And I'm like, I don't know. Call the bat people. They always show up like with a rack and a thing. So, and the cross collaboration here, which I do, is like you, David, are new. And you say, man, I heard from Samir at Care Credit. I should probably mention to my dentist, are they using financing? And then you're into money, and Vivek helps people make more money. Say, did you ever negotiate your insurance fees? Because I saw this guy on this show that calls himself Dr. Nacho that does this. And that's how stories get passed. Mm-hmm. And your clients get to help. A personal trainer cares about what you eat. Your nutritionist cares how much you sleep, right? So such a good point. And I'll wrap up with my great friend, Vivek. You've been on a lot of these shows. Anything you heard today that you thought maybe, man, that would help me in my practice with my wife or my business, or just something dentists should lean forward more on?
I like the term, the financial treatment plan for the dentist a lot, right? As you probably know, like I'm also very big on like just financial planning with like stocks and this and that, right? Do millions of things, right? But over time, I've had to just start, it's like the staying in your lane. I've had to be like, wait, why am I spending so much time on this, right? I like it, right? And it's funny because a lot of times I just tell people I do it because I really like it, right? Not because but I've realized that I've got two other companies, I've got two companies, PPR Profits and Verific, and to spend there. But there is so much more and little things. It's funny. One of the, we have an accounting company, right, which is a dental company. And one thing that person said to me, hey, check this out, saved me a lot of money over this thing through some like tax prevention through a cash benefit plan, something that I never knew about, and I would have never known about it if I continue to try to do it, right? So I think that's a very, very helpful thing.
And I think you're such an authentic guy in the money part goes. So I know I read a lot of your stuff and I follow the things about investing, but I had a close friend once who spent conservatively 300 hours a year on stocks. And I asked him one year, how much more did you make than the Vanguard index fund? And he's like, I don't know, 30 grand. And I said, was that worth time away from your kids? And, it made him think. And it's kind of a cop-out, Vivek, sometimes say, but I like this thing because it always comes at the expense of something else. And it doesn't mean not to be well-educated on something. It just means sometimes pull back and realize it's like dentists who wax up stuff in their office at night. Oh, you like it? Do you also like your own family? Right? So, I mean, it's just a good way to think, hey, I might not be using my time in the best way possible for everybody, not just me. So Thanks, guys, for being awesome. I really appreciate it. Have an awesome rest of the day. We have all your info. You can go into the comments and make some comments. Really appreciate you guys being here.
Thank you, Paul. Have a happy
Thank you.
Bye.
So another fun episode of Talking Nachos. If you would like to be a guest on Talking Nachos, you can text Salsa to 215-543-6454. We are dedicated to making you feel less like Mr. Grumbly, feel better about what you do for patients, for your team, and especially yourselves. Thanks, guys.